What's up, Lantern fans? It's the Emerald Enthusiast back with another Green Lantern collectible review. This time, I'll be looking at the DC Collectibles, DC Comics Icons figure of Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. Let's have a quick look at the packaging. On the front, it says DC Comics Icons, intended for ages 15 and up. On the top, we get the Green Lantern symbol. There's product information on the bottom. On the side, it says Icons, and this is based on the story Dark Days. On the opposite side, it says Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. And on the back, we get product shots of the other figures that are available in this wave. We also see that this is based on the art of Yvonne Hayes. As you can see, this figure comes with a plethora of accessories, although I wish that the figure were front and center and the accessories were positioned off to the sides. And now let's bust open this package and see what's inside. So this review started out on a bad note. As I was taking the figure out of the package, I realized that the helmet and the chest armor piece was broken. And while that is disheartening, years ago I bought a loose one of these figures and it only had a couple of the accessories, but luckily for me, one of the pieces was the helmet. The figure comes with these directions of how to put the construct armor on the figure. As you might expect, once all of the construct pieces are on the figure, the articulation is minimal. As it states on the package, there are 26 total pieces that come with this figure, including this construct fist and the personal power battery. I must say that this translucent plastic, as well as the color choice of green, is a perfect representation of how Green Lantern constructs look in the comics. The figure also comes with this alternate set of gripping hands. The sculpting on these is acceptable, although the ring is somewhat lackluster. And here we see Hal Jordan, free of the package and ready to rumble. Even without the extraordinary amount of accessories that come with this figure, this is still a quality collectible. However, I do have a couple of criticisms of this figure, so let's have a closer look at the loose details now. Let's have a look at the lower body. And this metallic green paint is gorgeous. The tops of the boots are sculpted, and the quadriceps feature plenty of definition. The Green Lantern chest symbol is sculpted on. It has been executed very well. There are plenty of lines sculpted into the shoulders. Even the Green Lantern uniform itself has a more armored look than a classic Green Lantern costume. And I think that works well on this figure. The arms feature these white gloves that have 2 points of articulation. They move at the wrist as well as the tops of the gloves, which do come off. And these forearm pegs port into 2 of the accessory pieces. And I will talk more about the articulation of this figure later in the video. But without the armored pieces, this figure has above average articulation. Now let's have a look at the head sculpt, and this is a mixed bag. I appreciate how realistic the skin looks, and I also like the sculpting and the paintwork on the mask. However, the expression looks pouty, and that's really not fitting for a character like Hal Jordan. Here's a close-up of the ring, and it is mediocre at best. The paint application is pretty tight, but there's not much detail beyond that. In terms of articulation, the ankles move backward and forward. There's not much in the way of pivoting. However, the tops of the boots do rotate. There are double jointed knees, and you can get the figure into a running pose if you wish. The figure's hip articulation is a little limited. The legs move out to the sides that much. And the figure can kick forward, but it's at an angle. As you can see, he can't kick directly forward. And there is very little step back motion with this figure. There's a lower torso hinge, so the figure crunches forward and rocks back. There is very little in the way of upper torso swiveling, so that's a little disappointing. There's rotation at the wrists, as well as the edges of the gloves. The figure has double jointed elbows, and this will give you posing options. There's bicep swiveling on both arms, and you can see that demonstrated here. The shoulders rotate in the sockets, and you can get the arms to do a 360 at the shoulder joints. The head articulation is unfortunately subpar. The head moves side to side, but there's very little in the way of head tilting, and the up and down movement is minimal. I am now assembling the entire construct suit around the figure. You'll notice that I have sped up the video because this was an extended process. Many of the interlocking parts are very small and very delicate. If you are assembling one of these figures, take your time and certainly be careful. As I mentioned earlier, once all of these pieces are on the figure, it's very difficult to articulate the figure without knocking these pieces askew or completely off of the figure. DC Collectibles is certainly accurate in issuing a choking hazard warning. Again, this figure is intended for ages 15 and up. Many of these pieces would be very easy for a small child to swallow. So I definitely would not recommend these as a gift for a child. And now I'm putting the construct blasters on Hal's arms. And you can see this start to take shape. Another problem that I encountered with this figure is that I had difficulty getting the wings into the jetpack. I had to use boiling water on the edges of these pieces to get them to click together properly. However, all of that work was certainly worth it. As you can see here, this is the fully assembled figure. Despite the problematic areas that I mentioned, I still think that this is a gorgeous figure, and it is certainly worth the money for any Green Lantern collector. I can't think of any other Green Lantern figure that has this many accessories or that has been able to properly represent the emerald energy of will that we see in the Green Lantern comics. I'm overjoyed to have this in my collection. And here we have the construct fist on the figure, and I really like the sculpting on this. I like how the energy trails up the forearm. This is definitely an eye-catching accessory. Here's a look at the figure with one of the alternate gripping hands. Here's a look at the personal power battery, and I appreciate the translucent plastic in the middle as well as the sculpting. And once the other gripping hand is in place, it is possible to fit the personal power battery into the figure's hand. This is a secure fit, and you can position the hand even further to make sure that the battery does not slip out of it. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this review. Make sure to check out my other Green Lantern collectible reviews. And please, tell all of your friends about this channel. I would certainly appreciate it. And I'll be back with more Green Lantern content soon. But until we meet again, this has been the Emerald Enthusiast. And thanks for watching.